A top lawmaker just sounded an alarm so loud that everyone in the hearing room went still, because what he revealed wasn't just another political jab. It hinted at something far more unsettling, the possibility that one of the country's most powerful agencies is being run by someone who isn't actually the one in control. And the way he said it, calm, direct, and without hesitation, immediately changed the tone of the entire discussion. It didn't take long before every person in that room understood this wasn't going to be a typical hearing. This was going to be a confrontation that exposed cracks at the highest levels of government.
Recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to go back to a previous statement by one of our colleagues, Governor Biggs. He said that Democrats have not tried to de-escalate the situation. You know, after the brutal murder of Charlie Kirk, which was domestic terrorism, okay, we tried to de-escalate. After the assassination attempt against the president, which was domestic terrorism, I was appointed to the task force to investigate that assassination attempt. We tried to de-escalate. After the anti-Semitic attack in Colorado, in which you put forward a resolution that included language about ICE's favorable role in that. 75 Democrats voted for that resolution, even though there was no reason to put that in there, but you did it to try to put us on the board. So this idea that that Democrats have said nothing, that we haven't tried to de-escalate, it's just not true. It's just not true. Now, it's not like you guys have any credibility on de-escalation. I mean, literally, we're not the ones who told tens of thousands of people to show up to the Capitol and run in here like a mob, and now you all tell people it never happened. You know, like, oh, that's not what the deal was. It's not like every day there isn't some sort of tweet that just escalates and escalates and escalates. And so, listen, I hope one day we could have a hearing on de-escalation. I would love to participate in a hearing on how we together de-escalate. But looking at one party and saying, you don't de-escalate, I mean, that's literally this dialogue on how we do bring down the temperature together. You know, I want to, we heard about this domestic terrorism thing, right? Domestic terrorism. That was the first thing we heard. I have a question. This is the person who within minutes of the shooting, went on TV and called it domestic terrorism. What, is she hiding her face like her ICE agents now? She can't show her face either? By the way, is this what the $800 billion went to? Every day we see her after there's some new tragedy in Homeland, she's wearing a different outfit with a different hat. I mean, come on, guys, she looks ridiculous. She's not just an embarrassment to the country. She's an embarrassment to you and the president. Okay, she deserves to be removed from her job by the president, and if not impeached, not just for her complete failures in Homeland, but her destruction of FEMA. She's not even running the department. You guys know this. You guys know she's not running Homeland. Your governors and you all, when you need your FEMA money, you don't call Noem, you call Corey. You know she's not running the place. She's a complete and utter embarrassment. By the way, every Homeland Secretary has come in front of this committee once a Congress. I'd like to know the date she's coming. When is she coming?
When is she coming?
When is she coming? By the way, do you know Pam Bondi has not come in front of this committee? Do you know she's the only secretary to not appear in front of a committee yet? When is she coming? What's the date on the calendar that she's coming? You know what? Let's make it easy. I want to make a motion to subpoena Pam Bondi.
Second.
To this committee.
Third, fourth, fifth.
How much are we going to...
The gentleman is not recognized for that motion. However, the chair will advise as to the Attorney General coming for as they do routinely.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. But where is the Attorney General, the only secretary to not appear, okay, in front of a committee? The only one. We're into year 2 of this Congress, and we've not had the Attorney General in front of this committee. How much are we going to weaken Article 1 of the Constitution while you guys remain in power? I watch you twist yourself into pretzels trying to defend this, running away from previous statements, disagreeing with yourself, trying to defend the crap that's happening. And so I'll make a motion again to subpoena Pam Bondi in front of this committee.
Second.
Yes, third, fourth, fifth.
The chair will again.
The moment began with frustration, but not the dramatic shouting kind. It was the controlled frustration that comes from watching the same false narratives get repeated over and over until someone finally snaps and says what everyone else has been thinking. He addressed a claim made earlier that one political side refused to de-escalate during national crises. Instead of letting the accusation pass, he dismantled it piece by piece. He reminded the committee that after the killing that shocked the nation, his side did try to calm the situation. After the attempt on a national leader's life, they tried to de-escalate again. After a major hate-motivated assault in Colorado, they participated in a resolution even though unnecessary language had been inserted purely for political pressure. Still, they voted for it because they wanted to lower the temperature. Every example he gave chipped away at the narrative until it completely collapsed. And as he spoke, you could feel the spotlight slowly shift from past events to something more current, something happening right now that he wasn't ready to reveal yet. Because while he was correcting the record, he was also setting a stage. The examples weren't the point. They were the foundation for what he was about to expose. He reminded everyone that the accusation wasn't just wrong, it was hypocritical. He pointed to the fact that it wasn't his party who encouraged massive crowds to swarm the Capitol. It wasn't his party who claimed afterward that nothing had really happened, as though the country imagined the entire confrontation. It wasn't his party who fed outrage day after day with escalating remarks online. He didn't sugarcoat it.
He didn't downplay it.
He laid it out as plainly as possible. Don't accuse others of refusing to de-escalate when the fuel for the fire came from your own side. But that wasn't the spark of the confrontation. That was the warm-up. Things turned sharply when he shifted his focus to the Secretary of Homeland Security. The room felt it in an instant. He didn't ease into the topic. He didn't build up to it gently. He jumped straight to the moment following a recent national tragedy when the Secretary appeared on television just minutes after the incident and immediately declared it an act of domestic terrorism. No confirmed facts, no investigation completed, no context, just an instant label broadcast across the country. He questioned the decision publicly. Why frame it that way before anyone knew what happened? Why speak with such certainty when the information wasn't even available yet? And why did she appear on television with her face partially concealed, echoing the way certain agents were now being instructed to hide their identities? He didn't present the comment as humor. He presented it as a sign that something strange was happening inside the agency she was supposed to be leading. Then came the moment that made headlines. The line that took over the room. He said flat out that she wasn't running the department, that she was an embarrassment not just to the administration supporting her but to the country, that her leadership had failed not only Homeland Security but FEMA as well. And then he took it a step further. He accused her of having surrendered control of her own agency. He claimed governors didn't contact her during emergencies. They called someone else, Corey, a figure not publicly positioned as a lead decision-maker. A figure who, according to his statement, wielded influence the public didn't know about. He didn't present it as confirmed fact, he presented it as what elected leaders were experiencing, something whispered behind closed doors, something that raised real questions about who was actually operating the machinery of Homeland Security. Whether the allegation was fully accurate, partially true, or politically charged didn't matter in that moment. The weight came from the implications. If she wasn't making decisions, who was? If she wasn't controlling her agency, who stepped in? If she wasn't the one guiding FEMA during disasters, then what exactly was happening behind the scenes at a time when emergency response was already under heavy strain? But he wasn't done. After dropping that accusation, he turned to the fact that she had never appeared before the committee. Not once, not a single hearing. And this wasn't just unusual, it was unheard of. Every Homeland Security Secretary in modern history has appeared at least once per session. It's basic oversight, it's expected, it's required. But she had avoided every request, every invitation, every scheduled appearance. He hammered the point again and again. When is she coming? When is she coming? When is she coming? The repetition wasn't filler, it was a tactic. The silence that followed each question proved his point better than any argument could. Because every person in that room knew there was no date, no plan, no calendar slot, and no commitment from her office. Then he widened the lens even further. He pointed out that the Attorney General hadn't appeared either. Not once. Not in 2 full years. The only top law enforcement official in modern memory to skip congressional testimony for an entire session. He asked how long members would weaken their own branch of government by allowing top officials to disappear behind press conferences, staged events, and public appearances that never required
answering direct questions.
He didn't frame it as incompetence. He framed it as avoidance. He didn't portray it as scheduling conflict. He portrayed it as evasion. He didn't imply mere disagreement. He implied a collapse in the constitutional balance of power, and then right there in the middle of the hearing, he did something that jolted the entire room awake. Without waiting for permission or recognition, he made a motion to subpoena the Attorney General. It was a bold move, one that broke through the procedural script everyone expected the hearing to follow. What happened next revealed just how much support, or at least frustration, had been simmering beneath the surface. Voices began calling out, second, third, fourth, fifth. Multiple members voiced their support within seconds. It was rare. It was raw. It was a sign that this wasn't just one lawmaker's frustration spilling over. Other members were ready to act. They weren't whispering. They weren't waiting. They were openly supporting a forced appearance, which signaled a deeper belief that something truly wasn't right. Of course, the chair blocked the motion. Procedurally, he had the authority. He reminded Moskowitz that the gentleman was not recognized. But by then blocking the motion didn't matter. The moment had already passed, and the message was unmistakable. The patience of the committee was gone. Moskowitz returned to the microphone and warned that Congress was weakening its own constitutional power every time it allowed an official to avoid oversight. He accused members of twisting their logic so aggressively that they contradicted their own earlier statements. He said they were bending themselves into pretzels to defend decisions and failures that couldn't be defended with a straight face. His frustration wasn't cheap political drama. It was rooted in something more serious, fear that the legislative branch was being sidelined, fear that major agencies were drifting without true oversight, fear that accountability was quietly evaporating inside the machinery of government. He spoke about the erosion of Article I powers with the urgency of someone watching the ground shift beneath the institution he serves. And his warning was simple: every time leadership allows these officials to evade scrutiny, they weaken the very foundation the government rests on. Not one party's power, the institution's power. And then he repeated the motion again, not because he believed it would suddenly be recognized, but because repeating it carved the demand into the public record. Because every repetition made the question louder: why won't these top officials testify? Why won't they sit before Congress? Why won't they answer questions under oath? Why are they avoiding the very committees designed to oversee them? The confrontation ended, but no one left that room feeling like the matter was settled. If anything, the air felt thicker, filled with questions no one had answers to yet. Because when a department controlling billions of dollars, a department responsible for national emergencies, a department overseeing some of the most powerful law enforcement agencies in the country, when that department refuses to speak publicly to Congress, something is wrong. Is it simple mismanagement? Is it internal chaos? Is it fear of what questions will be asked? Or is it something deeper, something involving decision-making happening out of public view? We don't know, not yet. But what happened in that hearing made one thing clear: some lawmakers are done being quiet, they're done being patient, they're done waiting for answers that never come. And if this confrontation is only the beginning, then the next few months could expose the inner workings of Homeland Security in a way the public has never seen before. There are too many unanswered questions, too many empty chairs where accountability should be, too many cracks in the system that no one has explained. And now that those questions are out in the open, they aren't going away. If you want deeper breakdowns of these hearings, the hidden conflicts inside major agencies, and the stories unfolding behind the scenes, make sure you subscribe, hit like, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next investigation. There's a lot more coming, and you'll want to be here when the next piece drops.